everybody. Thanks for coming out here today. First thing though, let's have a good round of applause for that. You know, that was a great history lesson. You know, that was just outstanding. So, if I get a little bit rattled, please forgive me. You know, this is the first time I'm actually talking in public like this. But, you know, I'm a YouTuber, and talking to a camera and a microphone's a little bit different from talking to all these people here. So please forgive me. Also, I'm going to be referring to my notes because the things that I'm going to talk about here today are a little bit too important for my faulty memory to forget. So I got to tell you, it does me a lot of good to see all you people out here using our First Amendment to defend our Second Amendment rights. You see, the first two amendments of the Constitution have a special meaning to me. As I said, I'm a YouTuber, and I run a YouTube channel called Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, where, among other things, I hold a live stream every week called The Right of the People. And I like to say that we use the first to defend the second there. Every week, I talk about Second Amendment-related politics, current events, and news, and let people know what the people who work here are trying to do to us. So, as I said, it truly gives me hope to see so many people out here using our rights to peaceably assemble. I mean, look, this is the definition of peaceful assembly here. Look at all these people carrying firearms. Has there been one shot fired today? Not one. So I think it's great that we're using our rights to peaceably assemble, to speak freely, to petition for redress of our grievances, just like the First Amendment says that we can. And it's great. Too many gun owners seem to think that someone else will take care of it. Someone else will keep the gun prohibition lobby from trampling all over our rights. Someone else will call lawmakers. Someone else will write letters, send emails, and sign petitions. Far too many gun owners are complacent and are content to rely on someone else. But not you. Nope. You're out here making sure that your voice is heard. You're out here with us using the first to defend the second. But let me ask you, is that all that we're doing? We're gathered here to let our legislators know about Governor DeWine's proposed safety protection order scheme, which, when you think about it, is nothing more than a red flag law by another name. I mean, if you call a turd a rose, it still stinks, doesn't it? Anyhow, the red flag laws violate more than the Second Amendment, which, as I'm sure all of you know, says a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, shall not be infringed. Now, I'm just a fat loudmouth with a camera and a microphone, but shall not be infringed seems to be pretty clear to me. As I just said, these unconstitutional laws violate more than the Second Amendment, however. For instance, the Fourth Amendment says, if I can keep my notes straight, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue except upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the persons or things to be seized. So let me ask you guys some questions. Does it sound reasonable to seize someone's property because another person's afraid that they might do something with it? Does the word of an angry ex-boyfriend, whose motives we don't know, sound like sufficient probable cause to strip a young woman of her means to defend herself? I'll say it again. I'm just a fat loudmouth with a camera and a microphone, but I don't think so. I don't think these laws follow this Fourth Amendment at all. But they violate more than just the Second and the Fourth. To be sure, they go a lot farther than that. For example, the Fifth Amendment says, and this is a long one, so bear with me, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now that one covers a lot of ground, to be sure, but I think the part that's most relevant to us is that second to last part, which I'll read again. Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Now I'll hold off a minute on explaining why I think these red flag laws violate the Fifth Amendment's due process clause, because it's related to how they violate the Sixth Amendment, which says, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Again, I'm just a fat loudmouth with a camera and a microphone. But I think these unconstitutional laws violate the due process clause of the Fifth Amendment by ignoring the Sixth Amendment completely. They just completely ignore it. They hold nothing of this. Now let me ask you. Well, first off, you see, these red flag proceedings take place on an ex parte basis, which means one party to the dispute isn't there. Only one party's present. And guess which one that is? Here's a hint. It's not you. You see, if the Sixth Amendment states that you have the right to be informed of the charges against you, the right to be confronted with the witnesses, the right to have witnesses on your behalf, and the right to have counsel, how can there be a hearing that strips you of a constitutionally protected right when you don't even know the hearing is taking place? You don't know that the hearing has taken place until they come knocking on your door in the middle of the night to take your property. Does this sound like due process to you? So to answer my previous question about whether or not we're out here using the First to defend the Second, that's not all we're doing. No, we're also using the First Amendment to defend the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment. But like the guys on the infomercials say, well, wait, there's more. Because the way I see it, we're also using the First Amendment to defend the First Amendment itself. See, a while back, Donald Trump, in response to a rant by Chris Cuomo about being called Fredo, yep, Fredo, Donald tweeted, would Chris Cuomo be given a red flag for his recent rant? Filthy language and a total loss of control. He shouldn't be allowed to have a weapon. He's nuts. Well, is somebody going off on a rant about something that made them mad enough to strip them of constitutionally protected right? Again, that guy with a camera and a microphone, but I don't think so. These red flag laws go further than that, though. So let me rephrase this argument by asking you guys a question. Let's have a show of hands here. How many of us have posted on social media or on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, here out in public? Come and take it. How many have said, I will not comply? How many have said, shall not be infringed? The vast majority of us here. Don't you think that somewhere, maybe even out there in the back, there's somebody who feels threatened by that? Don't you think that there might be somebody who could red flag you for that? Well, I suspect that in some places, some of us speaking here today would get red flagged just because of what we're saying. And if you think that's far-fetched, let me ask you another question. Did you guys hear about the former Marine who was red flagged in Oregon? For something he said at a rally just like this. According to Fox News, Shane Cofield said at a protest that he would slaughter Antifa members in self-defense if attacked. Recently, he had his 5 weapons confiscated by the FBI, according to reports. He was not charged with any crime. He surrendered his 5 weapons, including his AR-15. But what did he do? What did he actually do? Well, here's what he said. Quote, "If Antifa gets to the point where they start killing us, I'm going to kill them next. I'd slaughter them, and I have a detailed plan on how I would wipe out Antifa." Notice that he didn't threaten anyone in particular. All the man did was give a hypothetical response to a hypothetical situation. Remember, if it were an actual credible threat, the man would have been charged. He didn't incite anybody to violence. He did nothing illegal. Nothing. Now, was this the smartest thing in the world to do? Well, maybe, maybe not. But it wasn't illegal. But that doesn't matter. Because these red flag laws are all about what we might do, aren't they? They're not about what we have done. They're about what someone thinks we might do. They take innocent until proven guilty, and they turn it on its ear to guilty until proven innocent. And not only that, they shift the burden of proof from the state where it belongs to the accused where it doesn't. That violates every tenet of jurisprudence that we have in this country. And that's wrong. You don't even have to say or do anything to get red flagged. In Florida, a guy named Jonathan Carpenter was red flagged just because his name matched the bad guys. He got a letter telling him that his carry permit was suspended and that he had to turn in his guns. So he went to the clerk's office and filled out a form to let him know, hey, you've got the wrong guy. Was that good enough? Nope. He had to go to the sheriff's office, show his ID, prove that he wasn't this guy. Was that good enough? Here's a hint. Nope. According to AmmoLand, the sheriff's office supplied Carpenter with a copy of the injunction. In the statement, a plaintiff stated that she rented a room out to Jonathan Edward Carpenter and his girlfriend. She alleged that this Carpenter was a drug dealer who broke her furniture and sold her belongings without her permission. He had a gun, and she feared for her life. She was not sure if the firearm was legal or not. Now, Carpenter never met this woman. Carpenter never lived there. Carpenter has no idea who this woman is. The guy she's talking about is 5'8", and Carpenter's 5'11". The drug dealer's 110 pounds, Carpenter's over 200. Drug dealer's covered in tattoos, Carpenter only has 2. But none of that's good enough because he still had to hand in his guns. He has to wait until a later date when the complainant can testify in court that he's not who they think he is. No matter what documents he showed, his ID, his driver's license, social security cards, bills, proof of residency, nothing. He has to go to court and wait for her to say, no, this isn't the guy. And you know what the best part is? He has to pay for it. The bureaucracy made a mistake, and he's out who knows how much money. Does this sound like due process to you? Not a bit. So I guess we're here using the first to defend the first, second, fourth, fifth, and sixth if you think about it. And if you ask me, that's a good thing. You guys get something that the people sitting around at home don't. You understand that sitting around while somebody else fights for your rights is no longer going to cut it. You understand that somebody else isn't going to sign these petitions. Somebody else isn't going to make phone calls. Somebody else isn't going to write letters. Somebody else isn't going to stand here in the middle of their day off and let the people that work here know how we feel about their intentions. But more importantly, you understand something that's far more powerful. You are somebody else. It's up to you. Just as the courts have said that it's up to you to defend yourself, law enforcement has no obligation to defend you. It's up to you to defend your rights because nobody else is going to do it for you. Yeah. So in closing, I'm I'm going to encourage you guys to keep being somebody else. And I'm going to end this the way I end every live stream. In these dangerous times, let the people that work here know what you think about these red flag laws. Send us snail mail, email, carrier pigeon, smoke signals, semaphore, heliograph, telephone, telegraph, bicycle messengers, anything you have to do to let them know what you think, and never, ever, ever give up the fight.